If you're about to spend SUV money on another overrated crossover, stop for a second because some of the smartest long-term buys on the used market are not SUVs at all. They're old luxury estates. Cars like the Mercedes E-Class Wagon and the Lexus IS SportCross still offer real cargo space, lower running costs than many SUVs, and, in the right version, much better mechanical value than the bloated crossovers people keep overpaying for. And that's what this video is about. Not the trendiest wagons, not the rarest ones, and definitely not the ones that only make sense to collectors. I'm talking about 5 forgotten luxury estates that still make real sense if you care about mechanical value. The kind of cars that give you premium comfort, useful cargo room, and better long-term logic than a lot of used SUVs people buy just because the market told them to. Let's start with one of the smartest and easiest entries on this list. 5. Acura TSX Sport Wagon. If you want the wagon on this list that feels the least risky, the Acura TSX Sport Wagon is a very strong place to start. It's not a hardcore luxury car in the way an old E-Class is, but it absolutely gives you that premium estate formula. Good materials, clean design, useful cargo space, and a driving experience that feels far more sorted than most cheap SUVs. The reason this car makes so much sense mechanically is that it doesn't try too hard. It's not overloaded with strange engineering, and it doesn't make false promises. It just gives you a solid Honda Acura foundation in wagon form. That matters because a lot of SUVs in the same price range are heavier, more complex, and more expensive to keep feeling right. The TSX wagon feels like a sensible grown-up car. It's stable, easy to live with, and premium enough to not feel like a compromise. It's not exciting in a dramatic way, but that's exactly the point. You are buying sanity, not theater. You're buying a car that makes a lot more mechanical sense than a random aging luxury SUV with air suspension, turbo problems, and unknown service history. If I were shopping one, I'd be looking for maintenance history, a healthy automatic transmission, and signs the previous owner treated it like a keeper. Because the beauty of the TSX wagon is not that it's rare, the beauty is that it's logical. 4. Volvo V70. The Volvo 570 is one of those wagons that a lot of buyers have quietly forgotten, but it still deserves real respect. It doesn't look flashy anymore, and that's part of its appeal. It still feels like a proper estate car, long roofline, serious practicality, understated design, and a cabin that leans more into comfort and utility than fake sportiness. The reason I like the V70 here is that it offers something a lot of SUVs don't: efficiency of design. You get a low load floor, a genuinely useful cargo area, a more car-like driving experience, and a cabin that still feels mature. In a lot of used SUVs, you're paying extra for height and image. In the V70, you're paying for actual usefulness. That doesn't mean it's perfect. Older Volvos can still come with electrical annoyances, suspension wear, and the usual European car aging issues. But this is where the mechanical value idea matters. The V70 is not here because it's the cheapest car to fix. It's here because, compared with many used SUVs that offer similar space, it often gives you more quality and more personality, without automatically dragging you into the worst kind of SUV ownership costs. It's one of those cars that still feels worth maintaining, and that alone makes it more interesting than a lot of crossovers people keep overpaying for. 3. Volvo XC70. Now take the V70 formula and make it even more relevant to modern buyers. That's the Volvo XC70. This is where the estate car argument becomes really hard for SUV fans to ignore, because the XC70 gives you a lot of what people want from a crossover: extra ride height, all-weather confidence, and a tougher look, without fully turning into another bulky SUV. It's basically the bridge car for someone who thinks they need an SUV, but actually just needs a smarter wagon. That's why the XC70 works so well in this list. It gives you the wagon advantages: better packaging, lower center of gravity, easier everyday drivability, while also giving you the reassuring feel people want in bad weather. It doesn't need to be a hardcore off-roader. It just needs to be practical, comfortable, and mechanically worth the money. Compared to a lot of used SUVs, the XC70 feels more thought out. It still gives you space, visibility, and confidence, but without some of the awkward bulk and numb driving feel that comes with taller crossovers. Of course, this is still an old Volvo. You need to buy carefully. Some examples will be great, some will be neglected, and some will have expensive maintenance quietly waiting for the next owner. But if you buy with discipline, the XC70 becomes one of the best answers for people who want SUV practicality without SUV stupidity. 2. Lexus IS 300 SportCross. This is the wild card on the list, but it absolutely deserves its place. The Lexus IS 300 SportCross is not a big family estate, and it's not pretending to be a rolling living room. What it is a forgotten premium wagon with real mechanical credibility. And that matters, because sometimes better mechanical value does not mean the biggest cargo area. Sometimes it means a car that gives you quality, reliability, and low ownership drama in a body style almost nobody shops anymore. The reason this car is so appealing in the context of SUV alternatives is because it exposes how much fluff there is in the market. People will spend real money on a mediocre, compact, luxury crossover that gives them a slightly higher seat and a fake sense of ruggedness. Meanwhile, the SportCross gives you Lexus build quality, a genuinely good chassis, honest wagon utility, and a much stronger reputation for long-term survival. Now, yes, there are limits. The backseat is not huge, and the cargo space is useful but not massive. This is not the wagon you buy if you need a moving van. But if your idea of mechanical value is getting the most quality and long-term trust for the least nonsense, the SportCross is one of the strongest cars here. It is small, smart, premium, and way too ignored for how fundamentally good it is. 1. Mercedes-Benz E-Class Wagon. If you want the most complete answer to this entire topic, it's the Mercedes-Benz E-Class Wagon. This is the car that most directly proves the point of the video. It gives you SUV-like usefulness, true luxury car comfort, and, in wagon form, much better mechanical value than most people expect. That is a very big deal. Because the E-Class wagon is exactly the kind of car people stop noticing once SUVs take over the conversation. And that's a mistake. In practical terms, it gives you a huge cargo area, a low load floor, excellent long-distance comfort, real luxury materials, and a driving experience that feels more composed and more expensive than most similarly priced SUVs. This is what makes it so compelling. It doesn't feel like a compromise. A lot of wagons get treated as the sensible alternative to something more desirable. But the E-Class wagon doesn't feel like that. It feels like a luxury car first and a practical car second, which is exactly why it works so well. Now, this is where you still need discipline. The E-Class wagon is not an automatic yes, just because the model family has a strong reputation. You still want the right version, the right history, and a realistic understanding of ownership. A neglected E-Class wagon can still punish you. But if you shop smart, and especially if you focus on the simpler, better regarded setups rather than the most complicated ones, this is one of the few old luxury estates that can still feel like a masterclass in buying the right used car. And that's why it earns number 1. Not because it's the cheapest, not because it's the easiest, but because it best captures the whole point of better mechanical value. Conclusion. So, the next time somebody tells you to buy another used SUV just because that's what everyone wants, take a step back, because popularity and value are not the same thing. The SUV market is full of vehicles people buy out of habit, not because they make the most mechanical sense. Meanwhile, old luxury estates keep getting ignored even though many of them give you the same everyday usefulness with better road manners, less image-driven nonsense, and often better long-term logic. The Acura TSX Sport Wagon is the sensible one. The Volvo V70 is the understated one. The XC70 is the SUV alternative for people who still want some ground clearance. The Lexus IS 300 SportCross is the compact premium bargain almost nobody talks about enough. And the Mercedes E-Class wagon is the full package answer if you want the strongest blend of practicality, comfort, and mechanical common sense. And here's the real takeaway. Stop buying vehicles because the market made them feel normal. Buy the one that actually makes sense. Because the smartest used car buys are often the ones everyone else forgot. Which one of these 5 would you actually daily drive the TSX wagon? The XC70, the SportCross, or the E-Class wagon?